Hello YouTube. This is Painter for Hire 1975. I basically, and this is part 3 of how to paint a resin bust. Okay, where we last left off, we had just finished up the first round of pastels, and I had sealed my work. Alright, now, I want to share with you a little technique that I use. This is a technique that's used very well with the guys who paint the little miniatures, stuff from the companies Picasso and Andre and stuff like that. What I do is I take oils and I make a wash out of them. You can get your tube oils at like any craft store, really, Michael's or Hobby Lobby, wherever. And what I do recommend, it really doesn't matter what brand of oil you get. I use Academy, Winsor Newton, whatever's on sale, to be honest with you. But one thing I do suggest is you get this stuff called terpenoid. Here's what it looks like. You can use paint thinner, enamel paint thinner, but it don't cut the oils as well, and you don't have a it doesn't really work well with it doesn't work well. It doesn't give you a nice flowing consistency. Now, what I do is I make a wash. Here's basically what my wash looks like after you just put a little bit in and then a little terpenoid, and then you kind of mix it together. What you do is you take a brush and you go and you get some oil on there, and then what you do is you take and you just lightly start fading in the color. What you're really doing, what this is really doing, is all this is doing is this is staining the piece like you would if you were to stain your deck or a wooden chair or something. This is all this is doing. How I do it is I use it to stain. So you can see how it's starting to take shape. And then what you do is you kind of just blot it with a cotton swab if you've gotten too much. And you just really just want the main goal is just you want to just get a nice flowing consistency on your brush, and just to get enough on the piece so you just stain it. You don't want to be painting it. You want to just nice wash, because one thing about the whole technique I use is there's a lot of back and forth. How I do it, like I say, there's a lot of back and forth. What I mean by that is I'll go and I'll put a wash and then I'll go back over, because after I do this, the next step is to lighten it up again, But what this does is this just gives it another layer of shadows. But instead of doing it with the pastels like we did before and just the crevices with the pastels, this we basically just wash the whole entire piece, all the skin, all over. Just wash the entire piece with this, because like I said, this is going to create more shadows. And this is a key to make your pieces really come to life. This is a technique that that really gives the piece a little bit more of of another layer that that it didn't have before. Now, what you do after this, you can either let it dry. One bad thing about oils is when you use oils, it does take a long time for them to dry. But you can speed up the process with a hairdryer. I do recommend, if you do decide to speed up your process with a hairdryer, what you do is make sure you have a hairdryer that has a low speed, because if you use high, what it's going to do is it's just going to push your wash all over, and you're not going to have nice even lines like you did before. And then it's just going to turn into a mess, and you don't want that. You don't want a mess. So just if you're going to do the hairdryer method, which I do recommend, because I'm not kidding you when I say it takes oils to completely dry, you know, at least 3 days, at least. And that's the bad thing with using oils. But if you dry them with a hair dryer, everything's fine. So I do recommend that you do get yourself a hair dryer that has a low speed. I learned the hard way a long time ago when I started using this method about high and low speed. My wash went all over the place. Okay. One other thing about me, I tend to ramble, but if you just listen, I will definitely be passing on some useful information. Okay, enough of that. Now, as you can see, the piece is really starting to flash. Now you can see, I'm going to move the camera. You can see that how I did everything is a lot darker. It's stained. So okay, see the hand is starting to dry a little bit more. It's not completely dry. If I took my finger and rubbed over that, it would just be all over the place. Now, what you want to do is you really just want to just take a cotton swab and put the camera down. You want to take a cotton swab and then just gently blot the area where it's still kind of shiny. You just want to lightly blot it. You don't want to go too far. It's just better to do it lightly than try to put. Do not take your cotton swab and rub it. Just blot it, because if you rub it, you're going to end up basically losing all the oil wash that you had put on it.